This is The Village Athlete, where we explore the cultural journey of the Pacific athlete. Today's guest is someone who's walked the journey from the grassroots all the way to the pro scene, both as a player and as a coach. Proudly Samoan, fiercely passionate about his people, and he's coached some of the biggest names in the game on both sides of the world. Please welcome Willie Poching. Ciao, Willie. Ciao, Willie. You know what, Willie?
Malo sui
for finally a real league player I can do. Hey, if you don't mind, we're going to dig into some real stuff today, if that's cool, bro. What it takes to make a Pacific athlete tick, cultural differences that, you've been on both sides, so this is going to be a really awesome chat as a player and a coach. So the cultural differences you see that you think coaches miss, and how we can better support our boys and girls coming through the system. And in between, we'll just keep teasing Scuba Steve over this. We'll keep unpacking your story because you've got a really an awesome story, an awesome journey. But we'll start with, you've come back from the UK after spending a long time over there, years over there. What's it like being home?
Yeah, awesome. It took a little while, to be fair, and to be honest. 25 years away.
25?
25 years in the UK and nearly 30 years away from New Zealand after being an Aussie first. It did take a little while. Things happened in the UK and we saw an opportunity, and we'd always spoken about the chance or possibility of moving back, either to Australia or New Zealand. And my wife, she was keen to come back to New Zealand, and we just took the jump. We took the leap of faith and thought, if we don't do it now, we'd never do it. And all our friends that lived in England and said they'd come back said it took them 2 years to adjust. That was their time frame. And generally talking to everyone, that was how long it had taken people. So in what I see now is a bit of naivety, just me and my wife. I thought, no, we'll be fine. It's just me and her, no young kids to worry about. We'll be sweet. But yeah, 2 years for us too. It's just been over 2 years.
Why have you been back?
Since we've been back.
2 years. Why the 2 year length to adjust again? Because you're not from there.
No, but we were embedded
Over the year.
Our roots with our kids are still there. Our house is still there, and we probably kept that as a little bit of insurance. If it didn't work out here, we could just jump back. Yeah. But we told ourselves we'd give ourselves at least a year, and after a year it started to show some signs of really being good for us. Yep. And we missed it terribly. We missed England for a long time. We missed our friendship. We missed our routine. But what takes you the longest is you're converting things and you're trying to compare things all the time. And you find some difficulties in restarting and rebooting. But I think what worked out for us is we went back last Christmas, and it was awesome being back, but we realised that what we thought we missed immensely and terribly, we didn't really miss that much, and it wasn't as awesome as we thought. Yeah. It was cold too, and being -5 when we went back over Christmas was a deterrent, but when we came back, we're like, yeah, this is where we're meant to be. Yep. This is home now. This is where we're making our roots, and we're enjoying the opportunities that New Zealand is giving us. We're enjoying the opportunities to go to family functions and family birthdays, weddings, dare I say, funerals, but being around for those sorts of things, things that we'd missed for so long.
The kids?
Yeah.
Because
3 boys, and one's been here for a little while and making his way in his career path, and he loves it here.
All born over there, yeah?
2 were born in Aussie. Right. The youngest one was born in the UK. He was born in a little sleepy town called Dewsbury, and he's very much English.
Yeah.
He's 23 now, but he's the one that's taken the most convincing to come back. Our oldest one has just gone back. The middle one's been here. The oldest one came back in February. He's just gone back for a wedding, his best mate's wedding. He's loved it, so he's talking about coming back in October. But the youngest one, as I say, that's where he's been. That's where he's grown up. Yeah. That's where his friends are. And as I say, he's finding it hard to let that go. But we're trying to convince him about.
But that's his home.
That's his home.
Not yours.
No, that's his home.
Yeah.
I still reference it as home.
Oh, yeah.
Say, yeah, I'm going back home.
Yeah.
But no, this is home for us now. But yeah, that well and truly is his home.
Culturally, the kids,
Yeah.
are they, who do you think they are culturally?
Well, they've known, and I knew this from the moment they were born, to impress on them and teach them to be proud of who we are and who we were from. And it's funny, I say he's English, and he's English in the sense that he sounds it, his mates are English.
Oh, he sounds, he's got the whole Pommy accent in it.
Oh, full on. Yeah, full on. He's broad.
Yeah.
Out of the three, he's probably the most broad. And there's different sort of tones of accents around, but he's very Wakefield. He's very strong. And
You don't really have an accent. You've been there 25 years. You don't really have one.
no, but
You speak English when you got there, though. You learn how to speak English, yeah?
I find that I fall back into phrases
Yeah.
when I'm around English people.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can hear some. Can you hear it?
Falling back into
To be fair.
To be fair,
And he had tea this morning, remember?
yeah, there's some
English breakfast.
habits and behaviours.
you've got to cut that out now, okay? Cut that out. Well, I mean, we're going to probably keep going in and out of the family situation. Thanks for giving us a little bit of an insight into home life, which is over there and over here. Lots of football to cover because you've done it all. So you got a really long resume, and congratulations on that, Willie.
Thank you.
But one thing that sort of kind of sticks out for me when I think about you is the 95 Warriors season. And you were part of the original. Yeah, that was historic, you know. And I know you weren't there for long. But amongst that team, the makeup in and amongst that Warriors team now, and for any NRL team now, looks kind of different to what it looks like now. There's a whole bunch more Pacific talent throughout the NRL sides and NRLW sides, as opposed to when you were playing. Who did you have? Tony Tumavave, Tony Tutupu,
Yep.
Se Solomona, Joe,
Joe was here.
Kazi Joe,
Yep.
maybe 5 or 6, couple of English lads.
Hi, Troy.
Tia Rabati.
Yeah, right. But maybe 5 or 6 in that original squad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what was that whole experience like for you, especially as a young Samoan player coming into a pretty intense spotlight, being an historic team?
It was awesome.
Okay.
It was amazing to have a team playing at the highest level, the level that I had been aspiring to play, and having to think that I had to go to Australia and I had to leave home, and I did it before that. But to be able to do it at home and represent our home, and to do it with, as you say, what was to be, I feel, as a catalyst for the changing of the look of NRL teams.
Yeah, sure.
Then. That was the first team. There was a sprinkling amongst other squads. I was at Brisbane the year before, and I think there were 3 or 4 of us Pacific Islanders, and I'm going back to, and there's myself and Gus Aotearoa that went, and we were playing 21s reserve grade. Then there was another Samoan guy, Peter Pulau, who was in around the 20s, and then there was a young kid playing centre who was just coming through called Petro Sivanasiva.
Oh, yeah.
So that was it. That was the only Islanders in the Broncos at the time.
Yeah.
So the Warriors coming in, and there's a team photo of the whole squad that we're all in it.
Yeah.
It's a totally different looking
Absolutely.
group.
Yeah.
Culturally.
Yeah.
And I think that's changed everything
Yep.
from then on, from that group. So yeah, it was awesome to represent our family, but represent where I was from within that group on that top stage.
Was it intense though? I mean, did you feel like you belonged because you were outnumbered?
Yeah.
Did you look at it that way, I guess? But it sounds like you didn't look at it that way.
No, because I was a rugby league player.
Yeah.
And if there was a moment that I feel like I didn't belong, I was going to change that. I was going to change people's perceptions that I did belong, that I did have a place. But I knew all along who I was representing.
Yeah.
And what I was representing by being there. And because there was only a sprinkling, I never foresaw that the numbers would be where it's at now, but I'd hoped that more would come along.
Yeah.
So I never felt out of place or that I wasn't worthy. And if there was a moment of nervousness or doubt, or lack of confidence. I know I was driven to change that.
Well, see, that, I'll take a few words out of what you just said there. You were driven to change. You were prepared to change the environment if you felt like you didn't belong. But I think that's not every young Pacific athlete. I would say that you would have been the exception to that. Even today, there's a lot of our young athletes, boys and girls, who probably struggle with the leadership that you had at that young age. So what made you different?
My dad was a massive influence on me, and I think a big part of that for me was, and I didn't really think about it until a couple of years ago, when they started, and him and a couple of friends and a couple of cohorts, they set out to start Samoa Rugby League, and they set out to start the first ever Pacific Cup. So their colleagues from Tonga and the Cook Islands and the New Zealand Māori, they were all setting off. But there were sections of the rugby league community that said, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You'll never get a Samoa team. Our boys want to play for the Kiwis. Why would they want to play for Samoa? This will never get off the ground.
Yeah.
But my dad was driven, and that group was driven to get it started.
Yeah.
And I think it might be the first year they got Eseni Faimalo, and Eseni had played for the Kiwis, so he was a big one.
Yeah.
The 88 Pacific Cup, when they got Olsen Filipina, that was even bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
That was huge. So that was a moment for me to say, hey, just keep driving, keep moving forward, regardless of what people say.
Yeah.
It's what you want to do that affects you.
That's right. And so, you got Sene, then you got Olsen in there, which I guess people can look up and see. But there would have been a whole heap of stuff way before that, on the journey that you would have seen every day, which would have got you to sort of think, you know what, just got to keep fighting, got to keep pushing. This is what Dad's doing with the Pacific Cup, the SARS, with the Pacific teams, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and there's a wider story to it too. When we were growing up, especially in our early days, rugby league was a swear word almost.
Yeah.
It was all rugby union, and rugby league was, I wouldn't say it was growing, but it was very much frowned upon. So, but we were rugby league through and through.
Yeah.
So you overcome those battles, and I had troubles at school for not playing first 15 and from the school. Why do you play rugby league for? Come and play first 15. And
you didn't want to play for first 15?
No, not at the time, because I think when I was about sixth form, I started playing for Maris Prems.
Okay.
And so...
Yeah, sixth form.
Yeah, well, my
well, the Gen Z, that's 16, that's 17. Yeah.
Sorry. So
Year 11 in Australia.
Yeah. So my drive to make it as a league player and play rugby league was from early on. Don't get me wrong, that's one of my regrets in life, is I never played first 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never had it,
Is that a regret?
Yeah, I wish I'd done it. I wish I had given it a go. Yeah, but again, the path that I've taken, I'm fully proud of, and that's probably the one moment that if I could have it back in, I'd probably change again. There aren't many regrets in my career because I'm here today and what it's led me to. So, that's the early part of the journey.
Did you play first 15 at De La Salle?
Bro, it was
Second 15?
Yeah, it was tough.
Did you play second?
You know what? I'm going to say second, and some people when they watch the thing, you didn't play second. Probably third. But it was hard to crack. Last out, mate.
Because they had
hard to crack.
There was a strong first 15 program, mate, at Mags as well.
Yeah.
They were like national champs at
for sure
various stages.
Yeah, and a funny story. I got on with my geography teacher.
You got on with your...
Yeah, he was a really cool bloke. He was a good teacher to me.
Rephrase that.
And he was really good to me as a teacher, and he coached the third grade side. And they had a game against St. Paul's on a Wednesday afternoon, and they were short. So they said, you want to have a run? And I said, yeah, I'm not training tonight. I'll come down. And straight after school, put the boots on, scored a try and kicked a couple of goals. The next morning, I got called into the deputy headmaster's office, and the first thing he did was chuck me on the scales.
This guy make weight?
I jumped on the scales, and I was overweight for third grade. Give me the big spiel about how much trouble the school could have got in.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
If they had got caught, and it was only a friendly game. It was a make-up game.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I said, all right, first 15 trial is at Avondale Racecourse this Saturday morning. You're playing in it or else you're going to get suspended. I was like, oh, man. And I was playing at a senior game at 2:30. So I thought, all right, if I can get there.
Yeah, do the
Tell Dad I'm just going to watch.
Yeah.
And I'll take my boots and I'll jump on and
Yeah,
play this trial, keep the school happy. I'll come home and Dad will be none the wiser.
Yeah.
And I'll play my game at 2:30. So I got away with both of those because I dare to think what Dad would have said to the school had he found out that they were trying to force me to play.
Yeah, but you tried and then
You make the team?
you made the team, but you didn't play.
No,
Did you make it?
no, I played rubbish on purpose.
Wait.
Yeah,
What position?
I played centre.
Oh,
And,
yeah, you would have been.
I had a young kid outside me, Taller Burn.
Yeah.
Taller Burn was outside of me. He was smashing everyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, I feel a bit
Oh,
stuck.
so this sounds a lot of.
It's interesting, like you can recall those moments like really, really vividly, and that's part of your journey. I just want to talk about Dad, if that's okay, because he was such an influence in your younger career that made you driven to succeed. Here at the Village Athlete podcast, we talk about the Village Athlete, and then we talk about the village. The village is made up of your community and your family.
Yep.
I think sometimes as the village, we don't know whether we overstep the mark as the village or we don't give enough. So how do you interpret that? I mean, obviously Dad was a massive influence on you, and you as a dad now, where do you sit as the village for your kids?
Yeah. As parents, I think we don't realise this until you have those kids and you have those moments when it might be a conversation or how you tackle a situation with your kids that you walk away and you think, oh my God, I'm turned into my dad.
Yeah.
You can hear your
You're
dad.
a coach.
Yeah, when you're talking
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
As a coach?
You just said, how do you tackle the situation?
Yeah.
That's a coaching term.
There's so
for
much
your kids and your kids.
about
coaching now, Dad.
my behaviours
Yeah.
and my philosophies, if you like, and that I've taken from him, from my dad, and I'm so proud of what he did for the game, and people speak openly. But as a dad, he was softly spoken, never really raised his voice, but always, one of those when he spoke, you listen, and his words spoke volumes for what he was doing, and without having the tone of being loud. But yeah, he was such an influential person on so many people, on so many of my mates. And a moment that I was proud of was at his funeral afterwards, and one of our mates that used to live in Aotearoa, and Dad used to go straight after work in Ponsonby to the van, pick him up, bring him to training at Marist, and then take him home again.
Okay.
And he spoke afterwards about how Dad doing that for him saved his life.
Wow.
And that was the impact that Dad had. And there's nothing prouder as a son to hear someone have that effect on. But yeah, for me, and I don't know if I don't think I've had quite an impact on somebody's life, but I've just tried to give the same service that Dad has given. And
You don't know though, eh?
no,
You don't know.
no, I don't know.
I think you probably have.
I think you have.
No, yeah, I don't know, but we're trying to carry on the legacy that they started through his work.
But as a, drilling down a little bit more, because you've played, coach.
Yep.
So there's a massive difference. And as a coach, and you have to make some tough calls as a coach. So I guess what I'm trying to, when the village thinks something of their son or daughter, and you as a coach may align with those thoughts, or you may not align with those thoughts. Have you had an experience where, maybe not at the senior level, parents don't get involved, but have you had an experience where the village has maybe crossed the line, or you feel that they may have crossed the line with the athlete, And how do you manage that as a coach? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. The biggest philosophy, and you'll speak to a lot of coaches about this, is just be honest. Honesty is the best policy. Then you're fronting tough situations, and my philosophy was, again from my dad, was if you're doing it for the right reasons, you're making a decision and you're fronting a situation for the right reasons, and that reason being for the good of the team or the good of the organisation, then there's very little recourse from the family or from whoever. When I started out coaching, doing reserve grade and doing the under-21s, that was probably a little bit more managing than coaching at the elite level.
Super League? UK?
Yeah, because not long after I started coaching, I had 2 players come to me and say, look, I've got to stop playing now. I'm like, pardon? I said, yeah, I've got to go get a job. My girlfriend's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to be a dad, and this rugby league journey that I'm trying to get going at this moment in time is not paying me enough, and I've got to go get a job to look after my family.
Yep.
Mm.
And the dad inside me starts to come out, but also the coach, and, you know, what else can you say but thank you and all the very best? Those are the things outside footy, and people say, oh, why did you cut him? Why did you let him go? I said, no, that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a life
Big picture.
outside of the player
Yeah.
rather than just what you see on the weekend.
Is it different for Pacific players / athletes, dealing with them? We had a chat about this, you know, and how you manage that as a coach.
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. And the yes bit is, it is, especially when I was in England coaching over there, understanding that I'd been in their shoes and I'd travelled that path and been through the ups and downs that they go through as a player and as a family man, and, you know, the isolation that you feel at times. So, yeah, there are some differences, and you have an understanding, and I thought it was important, especially when I started coaching, to tell other coaches over there about the cultural significance.
So you were the first, right? So you were the first Pacific
Samoan
head
head coach.
Well, head coach Super League, right?
Super-
Yeah, my professional, right?
Congrats on that too.
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
So did you feel like a responsibility to educate the rest of the system on the players that they had? Or did other guys from other clubs start coming to you because they thought, oh, listen, I can't resonate with my coach here, but I know Willie's over there. I'll just reach out to Will and see if he can help with this situation? Because then
Probably
you
first
come, yeah,
I'd have to go to them,
yeah.
and
The coaches?
I'd have to go to the clubs, whether that was the coaches, the welfare officers, or the chief execs.
You out of your own.
Yeah, I'd make a phone call. If
Okay.
I'd pick up something that something was going on, and a common one, unfortunately, is, or fortunately, however you see it, players having to send money home.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of players
Pounds.
that were on good money.
Pounds.
Euros.
That were on good money,
Yeah.
but living off very little, because
Yeah.
a large chunk or large portion of their wages were going home every month.
Yeah.
So I was getting phone calls, or I might be just sitting with a coach and asking, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And
Yeah.
I said, mate, he just comes in for advances all the time. I think he's got a gambling problem.
Oh,
So leave it with me.
Yeah.
And I'd speak to them, and that would be the case. Oh, I've got to send it home, and church needs doing it, or there's a father of lovers, or there's a funeral, and I've got to send. So I'm going back to the coach and say, look, this is the situation. This is how our culture is. Unfortunately, these guys are the main breadwinner, so they're looking after things away from home. But if you want the best out of him, he's still got to eat,
yeah.
he's still got to drink,
Yeah.
and he's still got to put a roof over his head. So there's that education piece as well. And it even went as far as, something that I was really keen to do was talk to the Sky commentators about the name pronunciations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I didn't like was someone's name being said 4 different ways in one game. So I'd sit down with them and
Halo.
yeah.
Halo.
So just sit down with them and say, look, this is how you say it.
Good.
This is how you pronounce their name.
Yeah.
Would they get it right every time? No, but they tried to be a bit better.
Yeah.
And they understood the importance of, all right, let's all say it the same way.
Great. Yeah.
So there's those education pieces for other people. They wouldn't necessarily come to me because they wouldn't understand. They'd just think the worst out of the situation or the person, which is horrible.
Someone you know very well, and we'll get to the story around it, Tana Umanga. But he interesting you talk about the players and the financial responsibility of giving back home.
Yep.
Really interesting you say that it happens across the board, right? But Tana said when we chatted to him that he got together with the players and he said to them, you have to learn how to say no. Was that something that you actually talked to some of did you have to get your players around to actually mentor them in that space? Because Pacific players, when dad says you have to send money home for something, you send money home.
Yep.
So were you a voice that they could lean on?
I would never say no. I would never tell them to not do it.
Yeah.
But to think to what extent they're doing it. And if it's putting them in the situation where they're suffering a little bit or their family and their kids are suffering and going without a couple of times.
Okay.
Couple of times.
Yeah.
A quick one, that there was a player who was on really good money and he was living on one of the boys' couches because he couldn't afford his own flat. But he was on good money. I was like, no, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. I know there's no easy fix here. I'm not looking to you for an easy fix. But this is where the village needs to understand and be educated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to give up culturally your responsibility, but what can we share with the village around that?
I think we try and teach our players today that it all comes to an end at some point.
Yeah.
And your preparation for that end point and your life after playing is so important now. And your preparation financially, your preparation educationally, and professionally, when you're going to get some training or an apprenticeship whilst you're playing, because players have so much time on their hands. So there's opportunities to do that. But that education needs to go to the families as well sometimes. They need to be educated that you're squeezing everything out of this and at some point it's going to come to an end. But if you try and invest it or let them save a little bit more, it lasts a bit longer.
Yeah. It's we used to, like the NRL go through a lot of the similar things that we used to do, right? And some of it we used to sort of say to the guys to try and you give what you can, give within your means, and then, but I guess the challenge is from the family side of it is their means is a different measure to what you need, right? So if you need a place to stay in, you need certain foods for your nutrition, just for your training, certain bits and pieces that cost money as well.
Yeah.
But if they sort of see, hey, Sella just signed for the Raiders, for $100,000, pound over there. Okay, sweet. Can you send us 50? You know what I mean? Just give us stuff. It's that sort of stuff. Not knowing the environment. There's also a tax component that comes with that.
That's right.
So there's a lot of different learnings. But you don't want, like you said, you don't want to say no because for the individual, you don't want that person to cut off their family.
No, not at all.
Based on someone else. But it's how do you contribute to the overall
responsibility,
or to the overall well-being of your family, of the family unit, which is really important to all of us and the extended family, without compromising your existing unit.
I think Willie just said there needs to be more education to the village around that. And I think
they're getting better at it.
Well,
Well, I mean,
but it happens outside of sports.
Yeah, that's right. So you had to do it. Right?
I still do it.
You do it for your kids. But would you do it to your kids and ring them up for kupes?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
Yes,
because it's a
generational thing.
generational thing
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So you're
probably
more
not.
educated.
But I'm also very good at saying no
Yeah,
to my parents.
Yeah.
And they understand that because they know it's coming from the
Yeah.
place, they understand.
Yeah.
My brothers and sisters, no, they're not as good at saying no as I am.
Mm.
And I don't want that to sound like selfish. I'm
Yeah.
trying to, educate my
Yeah.
parents as well. My parents are old as well. So it's a generational thing. Will it happen to me, my kids? Probably not.
Mm.
Maybe not so
Yeah.
as you as well.
Yeah, and then look, there may be times when you really need to.
Yeah.
We're not saying avoid that.
Yeah.
But every month,
Yeah.
Yeah.
every phone call,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You got to say no at some point.
Please leave a message. Willie can't pick up the phone right now. Willie can't pick up the phone right now.
Those collect calls, yeah.
I want to get back to Tana because he threw you on the bus.
Oh, that guy, Willie, man.
I know
Wrecked his career.
on the Village Athlete podcast, we had him in and he mentioned you by name about going across to Newcastle.
Yeah.
So set the record straight. Was it you? So Tana said he went across to Newcastle Rugby League. This is Tana, the All Black captain. Went across to dabble in league in Newcastle. Didn't stay long, but he went with you.
Yep.
And he said you wanted to come home.
Yep.
True story?
Yeah, close to it. When I look back now, we were 18
Yep.
at the time. Played in a exhibition sevens game at Carlow Park, and it was Tala, myself, and Brian Lomatia. We all got tapped up by the great Ken Laban and sat down and got an offer from Newcastle, got an offer from an Aussie club.
Awesome.
That's what we've been wanting
Yeah.
for years. It wasn't about money. It was just about an opportunity. And so we signed it without ever really thinking about what was required. I had school exams and we were told we were all going to stay together, the three of us, and we'd been in communications, ringing each other up. And I had exams at school, so I went over after them about a week or two. Upon arrival, those two were in a clubhouse with two other of the Aussie guys that were already there, so there was no room for me. I ended up living with the chairman, Michael Hill, who's a great man, and him and his wife were amazing to me. But it was such a foreign environment to what I was used to and what I'd grown up in. It was a foreign country anyway.
Yep.
I had no car. I had no idea where I was, so I had no idea how far those two were away from me or how close. All I knew was we weren't together. We weren't living together like we were supposed to. So as far as I was concerned, they had each other and I was in by myself. I'd go down to their place every now and again and we'd see each other at training. But every time I was at home, I was in the room. I was just sitting there idling time away.
Lonely.
Getting lonely. You're not thinking any bad thoughts, but you're just thinking of home and how everyone is. And is this what I thought it would be?
Yeah, do I really want this?
Yeah.
Is this what I imagined it would
Especially
be?
for an 18-year-old. He's still at school.
Yeah.
We're studying, yeah.
And we sort of had a conversation, the three of us, and we got homesick and we weren't getting paid like we thought we were going to. And again, we didn't really do our homework. And we were just sick of being there. And I remember conversations started happening and the word got out that we were going to leave. Well, we wanted to go home. And
Is that your call?
I can't remember it being my call, and that's honest.
Okay.
But I do remember sitting with the chairman at the house and him interrogating me. Just that, are you going home's week? Is that what you want to do?
Wow.
And it wasn't probably as aggressive as that, but I felt it that way at the time. And I was like, I want to go home. I want to go home.
Yep.
And so if that was on me, then that was on me. And
So that was 3 weeks out. 3 weeks.
Couple of weeks in, yeah.
Couple of weeks in.
couple of weeks in, and then we went home and we came back, and that was an experience that would really sit with me strongly for the rest of my life.
Wow. There's a couple of things I want to touch on from that. You mentioned that the club maybe didn't tell you everything. So
And we didn't ask either.
okay. Well, did you think that the club took advantage of you? I'm trying to be the village here and think about these young athletes boys and girls who are not asking the questions or need things they need to look out for.
Yep.
But 2, homesickness is a massive thing still today with our athletes. You know, I mean, I think it's still really, really prevalent with Pacific athletes who have to go away maybe out of their hometown to chase another dream. I know I'm experiencing it, or I have experienced it with my son who's in Christchurch. Massive thing. So can you touch on, if you were talking as a coach to these young players, athletes who have to move away from home, talk to the homesickness thing, talk to the loneliness thing, and maybe talk to about the questions you need to ask or being taken advantage of.
Yeah, when I was at Newcastle, at that time, there was no suggestion, thought, or idea of a welfare officer.
Yeah.
Or mental health or well-being.
Yeah.
Thankfully, today we have those people at clubs, and multiple welfare officers at clubs, thankfully, to help alleviate some of that. But it still happens. It still happens, and there's somewhat growing pains that you have to go through sometimes as a player, as I learnt. But clubs are doing a lot better. And I'm thankful to Tony Kemp and John Schuster, who were there at the time, and Sammy Stewart. They were great with us. They tried their best, but they were first graders and doing their training and had jobs and working. But what I will say to players, and I had to have this conversation with my youngest son when he went to the Roosters, is you're going to get homesick. There's no getting around that. And it may come 2 weeks in, it may come 2 months in, it may come 6 months in, but at some point you're going to get it. If you can just work yourself out of that, if you can get over it, then you'll be better for it when you come on the other side. And I wish that I didn't run home. I do wish that now. And it was naivety and youthful foolishness, I suppose, that ultimately forced me home. But I still have burning questions whether I could have made it at the Knots, whether that would have worked out had I stuck it out.
You reckon when Michael, right, when Hill had that chat with you, if he had spoken to you in a different way, maybe, well, not a different way, but brought about different things, like, listen, how about let's do a deal and you stay for just a preseason, stay for 3 months. We'll get the guys all together and come up with some sort of solution. You reckon you would have stayed and had a crack at it? Because everyone in Newcastle hates you now.
Yeah. Well,
because you let Sano go.
well, I'm sure.
You let Sano. What is that? No, but I mean, like, because if that's the difference, and you know what, for a lot of athletes, it's just one person, eh?
Yeah.
One person can change that whole path of their life.
Yeah, for sure. And as I said,
not that it's a regret or anything, but what do you think that would have changed?
No, that was my impression of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I was pretty much
set.
Yeah.
You speak to mum and dad before that? Or like during that couple of weeks and say you want to go home?
No, because I was scared to use their phone.
Surely. Oh, because all home phones, eh?
Yeah. There was no mobile.
So you didn't even have mobiles to contact people?
No. You were scared
so
to use the phone in the house.
Yeah.
So you literally really stayed in your room because as an 18-year-old away from home, you were scared to bother them?
Yeah, and be intrusive and said, well, they've got their family life.
Yeah.
That's not my fridge, that's not my TV. Stay here. Let them get on with their business.
Yeah.
No,
but we laugh at that.
No, yeah,
but that's right. That's, I don't know whether, I can only speak from my own kids. I would say that is something that we as Pacific people, it's a mark of respect as well. You don't want to be intrusive.
Yeah, and that's how I sort of tried to be. I'm grateful for them for taking me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And putting me up, some strange kid from New Zealand.
Yeah.
They took me in and, I just tried to be as polite as possible as well. I was in some stranger's house.
Because you stayed there.
Yeah, I think so.
for like a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty sure he said.
Yeah, yeah.
Another Samoan kid from,
Who's that?
where's he from? Parental. So one of the guys, a
Hannah
young
Laban.
player, Hannah
Okay.
Laban, right? So Ken's boy.
Yep.
There's a young player. So he got recruited through the same system
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, 10 years later or 15 years later, but stayed in that same house for a couple of years. And he was from, where are they from? Parental down there? Wainwright?
Yeah.
Wow.
Down in Wainwright. So the same, that's an island kid.
Yeah.
This is an
Yeah.
island kid in the same house. One
Yeah.
lasts 2 weeks, the other lasts 2 years.
I want to talk about your son when he went to the Roosters, right? You said to him, you will get homesick.
Yeah.
Because you've experienced it yourself as a player. It may not happen now, it may not, but at some stage it will happen. Do you know what he put around himself to help deal with that? Just thinking about those who are in that situation now,
Tools
as
and
parents,
Yeah.
tools as parents who have young athletes, young boys and girls who have to ship their kids away. Maybe some practical things that
Yeah,
you
I
experienced.
purposely asked my cousin if he could move in.
Great.
So he lived with
Yep.
my cousin and
Yep.
his 2 sons and my nephew. Etu was living there as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
they were all
That's the
the same
family
house.
unit.
So
eh?
Yep.
4 young boys,
Great.
Yeah.
all trying to make it
Yep.
as rugby league players. Him and his cousin Etu, they had to work. The other 2 were at school, so early mornings.
Yep.
And it was tough for him, but it was a growing experience. But we had just come out of COVID in the UK, so the game shut down. Hence why he went to the Roosters. And grateful to Daniel Anderson for giving him a chance, and he went over, tried to make it. COVID hit in Australia then, and that shut down, and mentally it wasn't good for him. So he decided to come back to the UK. But yeah, I put him in with my cousins and tried to set a
Village.
village for him, with my aunties and stuff, and always go and see family
Yeah.
to get it through.
Did you have other cousins that you went, listen, I don't want you to stay with them? Not those ones from Mangry. Not those ones, but those.
Because you're not- local.
they're still part of the village.
You got to
And you go, well, if this uncle rings up or this cousin rings up, say no, you're not going out with them.
Yeah, no, well, my cousin was quite central.
Yeah.
Lived around Redfern, so I knew that if he went there, it wasn't far from the Roosters. And
What would you say? I mean, you had was a luxury, or you had the ability to be able to provide a village around your son. But what would you say to the village or young athletes who may not have a support system where they're going to?
an important thing is when you're talking to a club, for me, is get that feeling that your son's going to be looked after by who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Ask the questions. Ask questions, and if you don't know what questions to ask, try and find people that have some experience in it. You may have someone at your son's club or the coaching staff. Don't get caught up in just the bright lights of the NRL and we're going to go. Ask the questions, because as parents, you do have your concerns. You're concerned how they're going to be, how they're going to be looked after. So, you have that feel. I knew that he was going into an environment at the Roosters where he was going to be looked after.
Yep.
And knowing Daniel Anderson, and so he was going to get the best opportunity, and he was going to be in a house in an environment where he's going to be looked after because he's with family.
Yep.
But that's not always the case.
Yeah.
So ask the question: where are you going to put my son? Where's he going to live? Who's he going to live with?
Awesome.
Is it going to be an environment that's conducive to him being the best that he can be?
That's great. Great advice. On that note, then, this doesn't even have to be related to. It doesn't even have to align with sport. I think for anybody, if everything outside of what your main gig or whatever it is well, if your life is good, then whatever it is will take care of itself, right? Like I'm talking about football players. If everything outside of football was going well, I think the football, for the most part, will take care of itself. As a coach, what would you say are the keys to bringing out the best in our Pacific athletes? And that might be one of them, making sure the outside life is good. But what would you say is coaching one-on-one with Pacific athletes is the key to bringing out the best in them?
Well, just like every other player, all our Pacific players are different to each other. So, but we do have common traits and common behaviours and common preferences. But it's also understanding the individual and what makes each of those people tick, and trying to take some time to get to learn about who's who and what takes what with each person. But from an English perspective, what I learnt and what I went through is there's some ups and downs to being in the UK and being so far away. The ups, I saw it and I felt it, and I've seen it in other people where your partnership with your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever, strengthens a lot because it's just you then.
Just used to.
Yeah.
It's just you two.
That's
There's
it.
no other family influences, in-laws or your parents.
In-laws. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. For some,
yeah, yeah.
I love my in-laws.
Yeah.
And it strengthens that bond.
Yeah.
And it strengthens that family unit.
Yeah.
Because especially in winter and pre-season, you go to training, you come home, and it's that cold and dark.
Yeah.
You're not too keen to go out anywhere. So that's a real big positive to come out of it. And you find commonalities within each other.
Hmm.
So the island community, the Pacific Islanders, the players there in particular, because the numbers are growing, the community is growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And within that, so is the strength of the community. And there's a guy there, Carl Hall, who's doing a great job. He's Fijian from Avondale, played at Mount Albert. He's been there nearly 40 years, runs Doncaster. He set up Aotearoa Rugby League, which is just a welfare arm of the game to look after everyone with the help of Kaili Luluai and Whika Paleasina. And they're doing a great job. The downside to it is there are downtimes, and we had plenty of those where the family aren't there.
Yeah.
The family aren't around, and you're raising your kids on your own without the family environment. That village isn't there. That you've got a village, but it's not the close village.
Yeah.
Thankfully today, there's FaceTime and
Yeah, true.
there's all those sorts of things,
Technology.
which when we first went wasn't there. We were relying on phone calls and they're pretty expensive back in the day.
Yeah.
But, today you can stay in contact a lot easier.
We talked off here about this with young players, and I think it's inherently in a lot of island boys and maybe girls as well. And I don't want to generalize, but but we don't want to make a scene as young players within the group. Like if we're unsure of some things, and I'm talking about the young Pacific athlete, and again, I'm not speaking for everybody. You're obviously a natural leader, so you would ask questions. But I think there are a lot of young athletes who don't want to make a noise, who don't want to make a scene, who don't want to look like the teacher's pet. I'm experiencing a little bit of that now. What would you say to those players who, I guess, I don't know, are they towing the line? Do they need to be able to step out of their shell a little bit? And how do they do that? You must have seen that with some of our athletes.
Yeah, plenty across the line. And probably, again, to go along with what you're saying, generally, we don't want to stand out,
Yeah.
Whether that's being
Shame.
of saying the wrong thing or being ridiculed for what we say.
Both. I would say, yeah.
There's some of that.
Yeah.
Or you just feel like you're going to be insular and stay and this is my lane, this is where I'm going to stay. I think as they rise in seniority, I think it's important for them, and I think as a coach to have an environment where you encourage that and you bring it out. But there's some people that just don't.
Yeah.
There's some people it's not within them to talk. And I was one that did, and I would say my piece, whether that was because I felt something or it was to protect or stand up for someone else. I felt a responsibility to do that. But for some of our players, from some of our boys, it's you're better off getting their thoughts or where they're at one-on-one.
Yeah.
And you can speak on their behalf. But still, I'd encourage them to do it. And it depends. There's different lines that you toe. And some of them toe the wrong lines. You try and straighten them up and bring them back and get the senior ones or the better ones to try and keep them in line. And yeah, for some it's more natural to do that. And you could see the ones that were a bit more natural, but still you're trying to get it out of them.
Yeah.
Still some of those natural ones
Yeah.
can be a bit timid and shy. But you try and create an environment where everybody is able to voice their opinion, young kids or old ones.
I guess that's a really, important job as a coach. A
Yeah.
really, really important job as a coach. Disappointment. You've had maybe a fair share of your disappointments
Yep.
Along the way as a player
Yep.
and as a coach.
Yeah.
Which was easier to take, and how did you manage it?
Yeah, and some of it was self-inflicted. Don't get me wrong. I did some silly things in my career.
Doing maybe training or
Yeah, and behaviours
okay.
off the field. And,
Yeah.
I know there was a reason why 95 I had to leave. I had to leave Auckland, and for me to just grow as a person, I needed to move away from here.
Yep.
And thankfully, I'd met my partner before, and we moved in, and it was a real changing moment in my life for me growing and having kids. But what I learned from that Newcastle experience, without realising it at the time, gave me so much resilience, because then I was able to go to Brisbane and handle that small moment. And it was only a smaller moment of being homesick. Then I overcame that. But probably the real big one that I faced wasn't leaving Aussie to go to. It was when I was at Salford and I was coaching, and they let me go. And we'd spoken about a contract all the way through the season, especially towards the end. But then we got to the end of the season and still no contract. But they were like, yeah, we want to keep you. We still want you to stay here. 2 weeks after the season had finished, then they tell me, oh, we don't have the money. So, as you know, by that time, rosters are full.
Yeah.
All the staffs have been full. And fast forward a bit, I was lucky. Huddersfield came in and gave me a job around Christmas time. They let their assistant go, and Simon Wolford gave me an opportunity. But in between time, without me really knowing it, probably 4 weeks in, my wife was coming home from work and saying, what have you done today?
Yeah.
I said, I've been watching YouTube in bed all day.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise and it was her recommendation. She said, you need to speak to someone.
Yeah.
You're depressed. And I was like, holy heck, I think I am. And then I spoke to someone, and it was the best thing I could do. It got me out of it and taught me some exercises. But that was a real dark moment. And going through that after Salford and not having a job.
Yeah.
I'd gone straight from playing into coaching and got from coaching jobs into another, and I'd been chased. I wasn't being chased now.
Yeah.
The phone wasn't ringing, and I every time I phone, no, it's not a job now. And the longer that went on for, the darker my space got.
Yeah.
And the conversations that I had with a mate of mine who was a counsellor, it was so important to me coming out the other side and having that moment of reflection. And that was a changing moment for me. And my wife was awesome all the way through, because I wasn't a talker at home. I was a talker in the dressing room, but not at home.
Yeah.
I didn't open
the
up.
person you should have been closest to.
Yeah, I wasn't open to those feelings or telling her where I was at.
Yeah.
Thought that was a sign of weakness, but that talking to him, my mate, about everything that I was going through, immediately I felt an ease and pressure, and immediately I understood what these guys talk about and what people are talking about now. Talk about your feelings, talk about your problems, because you're offloading. And I learned a lot of that from that situation. Then the next one came, obviously, when I got cut from Wakefield. Achieved something I'd chased for 16 years and been an assistant to being a head coach. Thought I was going to be fine after we fought off relegation and with the lowest spend in the league. And it wasn't our best season by any margin.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we'd gone through something like a 7-week losing streak, but we finished off winning 5 out of 7, 6 out of 7 or something. And I thought I was going to be safe, but then to go in and be told that you're going to let go was a kick in the guts.
Again.
Oh, man.
But then we lived in the town where the club was and we knew everybody. But you felt a change. There was a change around town where people were, "Hey, Willie, you're right, Willie. How's it going, Willie?" to some of that.
You felt that?
Yeah, I felt it. I saw it.
Yeah.
And that's not the reason why we left, but it opened the door to come back. So then when I came back, I'm at where some of these guys are. I'd gone from playing to coaching. And I thought I was going to be a coach forever, and I still love coaching. I'd like to get back into coaching. But I've had to find something different. And I suppose that was part of the hardship of why that 2 years took as long as it did. Trying to branch out into new things. And I'm enjoying it now. I'm enjoying the broadcasting. I'm enjoying the Sky stuff.
And that's the brutal reality, right?
Yeah.
Of elite sports. Because everyone in the environment, regardless of who you are, it could be finished overnight.
Yep.
And when it finishes overnight and it's the only thing you've ever done, that's a big challenge. Big challenge, eh?
Yeah, we spoke about that, eh?
Yeah.
About what happens when it's over. And there's a couple of things before I forget. Thank you for opening up and sharing that, Willie. This is going to resonate so much with so many people who may be in a dark space. So thank you for doing that, first of all. But two, can you just quickly, or if you can, that point where your wife walked into the house, and you probably remember it really vividly, and she asked you what you did, and all you said was, "Oh, I watch YouTube all day."
Yep.
But what was the catalyst that made you put your hand up and ask for help? Because there'll be a lot of young athletes who are afraid to take that first step or don't know what that looks like.
Yep.
Can you just briefly touch on what made you put your hand up to ask for help?
I suppose realizing that I wasn't doing anything, that when she asked me, and then I sat back and I thought, what had I been doing all day? Because it was the same that I did the day before, and the day before, and the day before.
Yeah.
My routine was drop her off to work, rush around, clean up the house. So that's done, which took about half an hour.
Yeah.
And then sit in bed and
Watch YouTube.
one clip went to another and you're watching another video. And
Yeah.
next minute, the alarm goes off and it's 4 o'clock. I've got to go wake her up now. And I, in my head at the time when I'm sitting in bed, I'm thinking, oh, they're fun videos, I'm enjoying it, but just today's gone quick. But then she asked me what I've been doing.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What have I been doing and what am I doing? I wasn't being proactive and finding the next thing. I was hoping that the phone was going to ring.
Yeah.
And I suppose when she said that, I had to be proactive in one, getting some help, but also getting ready to move on.
Yeah.
And I was responsible for myself, first and foremost.
Mm.
And I was waiting for a handout and I was waiting for a hand up, but I needed to do it for myself, whether that was making that phone call or doing something to get ready.
You reckon that was the first time that you, or one of the first times that you thought about doing something outside of football? You know what I mean? Because you went from school into the environment as a player, then into the coach. So for 30, 40 years, or even as a kid, you're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it would have been like, sucks, what?
I did a degree.
Something that isn't, you did a degree.
I did a degree.
Not the one at Mags.
Yeah.
Which was
That was the one degree.
When you spelled degree for DEC.
Did you say DEC?
Yeah, I got a sports science degree. when I was at Leeds. Then we had a partnership with the uni, and towards the back end of my playing career, they did it for us for free. So it took us 5.5 years to get the degree.
Right.
It's
In
about
sports science?
Sport
Nice.
and exercise science.
But is that to stay in the game, though?
I used that to stay in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't do that to go accounting.
Yeah, but you don't normally think about, but you were accounting in the love is very but because you don't normally think, like as an athlete, and for any athlete, like say if you've dreamed of it since you were 5 years old or 10 years old, that's all you think about.
Yeah.
All you think about. And then you get in the environment and that's all you do, all you live.
Yeah.
And then it stops one day.
Yeah.
And it usually stops because someone else says it, not you.
No.
It's someone else.
Yeah.
And when it stops, it's like you've never thought about anything else. Anything else. Like I was telling this guy, like at school, I used to cut hair, and I was like, but I'd never thought about being a barber.
Yeah.
But
then those are part of the dark thoughts that you go through.
Yeah, because
like,
what am I going to do when
what
you're
have I
around
done
there?
with my time? I did that degree. Why don't I do something that's going to be productive for me? But you don't think of that at the time. I've got a degree. Happy days. And I'm proud of that. But yeah.
What's your?
I did think about doing something, but
Yes.
I didn't know what that was, and that was scary.
Yeah.
Starting all over again.
Well, that's right.
This is a really good segue into what would your advice be to these young Pacific athletes, in particular, young boys and girls who want to chase the lights, and have got the talent to do so. Sooner, at one point, it's going to end. So what would be your advice to those young athletes now who are either chasing the dream, in the dream?
Prepare as early as possible. Preparing your journey for life after as soon as you can, because you hear it all the time. You could have a career of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You might have the 15-year career. Who knows? But even if you do, and I was 32, I think, when I graduated from uni, I so wish that I had done it earlier.
Yeah.
And I had it already banked up.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It was only, the uni came in and said to the group, hey, we've got this degree, if people want to do it. 5 of the boys signed up. And I was telling my wife, she goes, you better go do it. You've got no qualifications, no nothing. You better do this. You're 28.
Yep.
Your career's, around the corner. You're not far off. You need to prepare. I thought, oh, yeah, good. And so I just went to this meeting. Didn't really know what the degree was, but thought, I'll sign up and do it. The more I did it, the more I loved it, and the more I understood it. But if it wasn't for her, at that time at 28, I don't know what I'd be doing now or what degree I would have gone on. But my word of advice would be do it early. Do something early. And the other thing with that is when you finish playing, you might have an idea of what you want to be or what you want to do. But I've known so many players that have gone into those vocations, but they've not liked it. It's been something else. So if you do it early, you can do a couple of things on your journey then and have some choices.
Yeah.
What you want to be and what you have ambitions to try might not be what you like. And some players, I know a couple of players who've gone into coaching that never intended to be coaches, but it's fallen on their lap and they're very good coaches. But you asked them when they were playing, no chance, I don't want to coach.
Yeah.
But for some reason or another, it's fallen on their lap.
Yeah.
Couple of things before we wrap up. Player or coach, which one?
Very different, both. Very different. Rewarding in their own ways. Players, you've got that bond with everyone, with the group. You've got that friendship. Very isolating coaching.
Yeah.
It's very isolating, but so much more rewarding, I found, coaching, because you're impacting the group.
Yeah.
And impacting lives, and equal joy and equal rewards in both for me.
And lastly, I guess for me, unless Nigel's got something else, what's the legacy that you hope to leave in the space where culture and sport come together?
I think we're on the path to it. When I see today, when me and Nigel get to work with some of the greatest players our game has today, wearing that blue jersey, or
Samoa.
wearing the Tongan jersey, or wearing the Fijian jersey, choosing to play for their culture. That's what Dad wanted. I don't think he could imagine it would be to the extent that it is today, but that's ultimately what they wanted, to give our best players the chance to represent those that sacrifice so much for us. If you ask someone, we went to England with 2 young boys. England was fine. It was, we already had a job. We were going to get paid, and we spoke English, so it's fine. But can you imagine going somewhere to a foreign country where you don't speak the language, as was the case with my grandmother, 9 kids, and no job guaranteed. You're just going on the hope that you're going to give your kids a better life. That's a massive sacrifice. And both sets of my grandparents are my heroes for what they did for us and what we have today. So, the cultural and binding sport together, hopefully we can, as the legacy of our grandparents, we can just keep doing them proud. And hopefully with the numbers going up in our sport and in sport in general across the world, that we keep waving the flag in the best way for our cultures.
Well said, Urs. Last message to the athlete, the village athlete, the aspiring young 18, 16-year-old boy, girl, and then the last message to the village. What would you say to both of them?
To the athlete, just be the best version of yourself and make your family proud. Love what you do, and I think that's important. And it's got to be your journey. And I think a lot of people do it for other reasons. I think or for other people, you feel pressured to, but it's got to be your journey for it to be genuine, whatever journey that is, whether that's sport or being a lawyer or an academic. It's got to be your journey. You've got to chase your dream, and you've got to, if it's your dream, you chase it even harder for yourself. And for the village, support them hard. Support them hard, and be there for the ups, but be there for the downs too, in the right way. And thankfully, we do that really well.
Sure, Willie. Appreciate your time. So,
thanks for having us on, man. It's been
it's been awesome having a real rugby league player. Sure, Urs.